So let's continue with tutorial 2.2.1 of module 2.2. This tutorial will be about the test analysis with generative AI, or how you can apply generative AI for the test analysis tasks. So let's understand the basic details first, and then we'll do few hands-on exercises. Now, test analysis is the key phase of software testing lifecycle, and software testing lifecycle is a subset, or it's embedded within the software development lifecycle. Now, with generative AI, you can expedite all your test analysis tasks. Previously, all of that used to be done based on the tester's understanding and thought process. Manual effort was required. Now, with Gen AI, you can expedite, because Gen AI will be able to help you or assist you in the test analysis activities. How it can help, or what it can do for you: it can generate and prioritize the test conditions. It can identify defects in the test basis and provide you the coverage analysis. Few of the things, right? It is the key aspect, or generative AI now is the key tool that you will need to actually perform better into software testing, whether it's test analysis or any other phase of the software testing lifecycle. You can get help in any of the tasks, and you will be able to perform tasks more efficiently. You will get better coverage, and it will be much faster. Now, what inputs go into the generative AI for test analysis? So usually you will have the requirements in the form of either the software requirement document, or you will have the user story in Jira. Say for instance, you will input those requirements, user stories, any technical specification, for example, the technical documentation, design documentation, the user interface, wireframes, any other relevant project information you can feed into Gen AI to set up the context. What exactly is the background for which you are looking for the test cases, or for which requirement you are doing the test analysis for. Now, from the output, you can get typical test cases, test conditions you can create. So based on these inputs, generative AI will be able to provide you with the acceptance criteria, the test conditions, the scripts, etc. very easily. Now, Gen AI is like a smart assistant that helps testers to expedite all testing analysis activities. Next thing is identifying defects in the test basis. That's another important thing that software testers do, that if there are any gaps in the requirement in the user story, as part of the test analysis, you used to go through those user stories and check that are there any inconsistencies, are there any gaps. So all of that was mostly manual, but with Gen AI you can do a initial scan with Gen AI, and that will give you a very quick and clear result of any inconsistencies, ambiguities, or incompleteness if it is there in the requirements, in the documents, that could lead defects in future. So that initial screening you do, and then use your skills as a software tester. Do not rely 100% on Gen AI. This tool is for helping you to achieve more and get more coverage. It's kind of an assistant. It's not a replacement of the tester as such. So you do initial analysis, and then it compares the patterns with the previous defect reports. It will help you to flag any anomalies and suggest improvement. That's what Gen AI will be able to do. For example, if the requirement says system must allow secure login, then generative AI can detect any ambiguity. What does secure mean in there? Is the requirement testable or not? What does fast login mean? If the requirement says the login should be fast, then what does it mean? Does it mean 1 second, 5 second, 10 second? So these ambiguities can be easily figured out by Gen AI. And once you figure out these ambiguities quickly, then your work that you used to do in a couple of hours or days can be done very quickly, and you can put more effort in where your thought process as a tester, your testing mindset is required more. Okay. Now, Gen AI suggests any clarifying details to avoid any defects later. All right. So once you do this, you have won half the battle, and now further on, from here on, you can use your testing mindset to further do the analysis of the documents. Then how Gen AI helps in generating test conditions. So LLMs can analyze your requirements and user story to generate the test condition. That's another space where you can use Gen AI. It uses natural language processing to interpret requirements. Gen AI breaks requirements into measurable and testable statements. For example, if the user story is, as a user, I want to reset my password, so Gen AI can generate the test conditions based on the above story. If you just simply go ahead and say, generate the test conditions for the above user story, you paste in the user story, you will get all the key test conditions based on that user story. So this is where it will quickly help you to get the test condition, and then you can refine those test conditions further. See if there are any further test conditions that need to be added. You can ask Gen AI again to add those conditions until you have the final list of the test conditions that are relevant for that user story. So that's where Gen AI is helpful in the test condition or generating the test condition. Gen AI can also help you to prioritize the test condition. So with the information, for example, the risk likelihood and risk impact of the failure for each test condition, large language model can help to prioritize the test effort. LLM can recommend priority levels by considering certain factors like regulatory compliance, user-facing features, login payment, historical defect data. So if you feed in any of these details, for example, for these user stories, it is regulatory compliance to meet these criteria, then the Gen AI will automatically prioritize the test conditions according to the regulatory requirement, according to the user-facing features. What should be the priority in that case? And then you can review that priority, and if you're happy, you can use the similar priority or update the priority accordingly. But initial screening, initial details about the prioritizing test conditions, you can easily get by Gen AI by providing the key factors so that Gen AI can understand and prioritize based on those key factors. For example, payment processing test conditions. If you have a payment processing test condition, if you have a cosmetic UI alignment, that will be considered as a low priority based on generic learning of LLM. But if you have specific factors that you provide, for example, this user story is there because there is a regulatory compliance, then obviously that will be high priority. If the feature is user facing, that will be considered as high priority by the LLM. Okay, so that's another area where Gen AI is really helpful. Then Gen AI will help you to support the coverage analysis. It will help you to perform coverage analysis to determine whether all aspects of the test basis are covered or not. For example, it can help to map requirements and user stories to the test conditions and see if all of the coverage is being maintained or not, if the coverage for those requirements is there or not. Do you have test cases for those requirements or not? Then it highlights any gaps that could lead to escape defects if there are no test cases for few requirements. So all of that is possible because in your test management tool itself, you can integrate the Gen AI capabilities and see that for this requirement, how many test cases are there. So all of that coverage analysis is also possible using generative AI. It helps team to achieve complete coverage in complex projects. Then it also helps in suggesting the test techniques, not only the test conditions, but the test techniques. So Gen AI can suggest relevant test techniques based on different type of requirement or user story being tested. For example, it can suggest you whether you should use boundary value analysis or equivalence partitioning based on what goes into the user story. And this helps the tester to apply most effective test technique for specific test condition. Now, why you need to understand the core details of software testing? Because if you don't know core details of any of the topic, not only software testing, be it your automation, be it your testing, be it your development, you won't be able to use any new technology. Now you will be successful in generative AI because you know the core concept. If you don't even know that there are test techniques, these are the test techniques that are being used or you can use in testing, how you will go ahead and query that you need test techniques for a user story or test technique suggestion for a user story? So understanding core concept is the first thing, but then on top of it, because you know that there are test techniques, then on top of it, for a user story, you can simply query Gen AI and ask for the test techniques for that user story. This will help you to apply most effective test technique for specific test condition. For example, if you have a requirement which says age must be between 18 and 65, generative AI suggests the boundary values to test that you should be testing 17, 18, 65, 66, right? So this suggestion can be easily achieved by the generative AI. So that's another key key application of generative AI in test analysis. Now, what is the importance of the high quality input? So quality of input is directly proportional to quality of output, and briefly I have covered this in the prompt engineering initial video. The better, the high quality prompt you have that you will use in Gen AI, better output you will get. Poor prompt will lead to vague results. If you have very generalized prompt, you will get generalized result. Clear structured input to generative AI will produce precise and actionable outputs. For example, if you want the clear test techniques to be suggested, you need to prompt better with the right examples, with the right user story, with proper data, the output format, and then you will get a structured, actionable output from Gen AI. For example, if we say a poor prompt, how it will look like: test e-commerce mobile app. But if we want to improve this a little bit, I'm not saying that good prompt is absolutely fantastic one, but at least better than the poor prompt. Generate boundary test cases for the age field in registration form, include valid and invalid examples. Okay, and now here as well, I haven't specified the mobile, whether it's mobile app or the website. So I can also mention in the good prompt, test e-commerce mobile app, and then full stop, generate boundary test cases for the age field in registration form, include valid and invalid example. That's much better than just saying test e-commerce mobile app. Okay, so that's where the importance of high quality input or prompt becomes really important, and we have already seen the prompt engineering technique, so you now know how you are going to design the prompts properly with the key components of the prompt. So that's all about the Gen AI capability for the test analysis task, or how you can use generative AI in any of the test analysis activities. Thank you. I'll see you in the next tutorial.